Assalamu alaikum. Hi everyone. Welcome with another important training session, especially for the work permit receivers who truly wish to work, especially for Saudi Aramco in Saudi Arabia at their different projects as a WPR. And because there is a certain criteria, it's hard to work for Saudi Aramco until you get certain approvals or kind of exams to be passed, like third-party exam after 4 days training with 80% marks, and after that, another exam by Aramco. So that's why I thought, why not to, make this video, and it will surely be helping you, not only you, even any fresher who just went to Saudi Arabia for job purpose and all, so they just can go for this particular training and try to pass Aramco exams. And surely after getting approval as a WPR, they'll be quite capable to work on certain projects. So let's begin. And please, first of all, thank you very much for all those who subscribed our YouTube channel, The Training Zone. This channel is basically, it's your channel. It's just like, helping to the community, and I'm just uploading all the maximum complete trainings topic wise. And let me just be clear here, maybe I'll be recording inshallah more than 260 videos and training videos, especially relevant to safety topics, and maybe 20 videos relevant to food safety, then relevant to quality, maybe 5 or 6. And some of the videos are related to ISO standards like 9001, 14001, 45001, 22000, as well as 27001, and so on. So I'll keep, making some videos for your awareness, and of course, it will be, sorry, it will be helping to the global community as well. Whoever is having some passion to learn, surely can subscribe and watch our channel. And surely, he'll be getting something productive in a way, because what I believe is learning is everyone's right, actually. So it's not like always you think about money or you only work for money. So no harm to try some sharing and caring attitude as well. So let's start our today's session. It's all about work permit receiver, exam Q&A, but surely I'll be explaining some of the technical points as well. First of all, let's discuss, what joint responsibility do issuers and receivers share. So you'll get multiple options, like taking gas tests, naming the designated representatives, doing the work, or safety at the work site. So the right answer is the issuers and receivers share responsibility for safety at the work site. So it's a mutual responsibility. So they just sign a permit like a legal document, and they try to make themselves responsible mutually for safety of their employees, either Aramco employees or the contractor employees. On the other side, of course, it's a legal obligation and kind of a legal responsibility to make sure whoever is going at Aramco site have signed certain documentation as an evidence that you have a kind of permission, to start your project. So this is kind of question number one. So just remember, safety at the work site is the responsibility, is the joint responsibility of issuers and receivers. Now, question number two is, why is it important that the issuer tell the receiver about safety hazards he may find at the job site? So multiple options, but the right answer is the receiver may not have worked in the area before. So that's why it is important, for the issuer to tell to the receiver about the safety hazards he might find at the job site. Question number three is all about what two things must the issuer do before issuing the work permit? What two things the issuer have to do? Like check the receiver certificate and get on the signatures. Okay. Remember that one. So what you're going to do is you have to stop on each question and try to understand the logic of the question and clear your concept. before even you see Aramco options, And this is how you can avoid remembering a lot of answers actually. So if you clear your concepts, then it's a one-time game show, and I'm sure you will never forget, because you understood the logical and technical point why that is important, for the issuer to check receiver certificate and get counter signatures. Now, question number 4 is all about who goes on the joint site inspection. So, of course, issuer and receiver both are mutually responsible. But I noted personally, practically, several people even don't conduct a joint site inspection, but they fill certain documentation. And unfortunately, some of the Aramco guys, they also have some excuses, sometimes no time, or maybe they are busy with some other projects. So they will trust on you, but their trust should never be misused. If they're gonna tell, like, if I'm the Aramco representative and I'm a company man for Saudi Aramco at certain projects. So if I'm gonna say you, please go ahead and go for the joint site inspection because I trust you. On the other side, I'm very much busy, so please complete that exercise and come back to me with set, relevant documents actually, and then I'll surely review and make sure all the requirements are met, and then I'll sign the permit. But this trust should never be misused by the contractors. Now, what two things must the receiver do before receiving a work permit? What two things must the receiver do before receiving a work permit? So again, logical point, you have to ask yourself first of all. Otherwise, remember the right answer. Read the work permit and agree to all conditions. So don't agree blindly. Like, make sure every checkbox, whatever is tick, 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 you just need to make sure the things are there. Like if you are ticking that the full body harness is available, then double check that the full body harness is available for sure. On the other side, if you are having some certain queries, like you're not satisfied with some of the requirements, then no harm to re-discuss with Saudi Aramco issuers and re-agree and make sure the both parties are fully satisfied with that signature. The question number 6, where must the receiver keep the work permit after it is issued? So remember guys, it's really important to display the work permit at the job site first of all, and especially it must be in its possession. So look at some of the pictures to help you understand how the joint site inspection is going on. And on the other side, JSI brings to check some of the elements, like, because GSA is all about you may take some gas tests, check to see if equipment is prepared and isolated and clean. Do you need to install locks and hold pads, put barricades or warning signs? Can heavy equipment be safely used? Do you need to use special equipment or procedure like for handling asbestos? Asbestos containing materials, is directly, I would say, for a long term, is a source of lung cancer. So should workers wear personal protective equipment? Do you need a fire watch or standby man? So remember, each job is different. So you may find other things you need to check during the GSI. So it's not like just a formality to tick, 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 and later I'm going to say, yes, all is done. Your wrong check boxes or your wrong tick, that means you'll be the killer, because you are not going to work inside a confined space or inside a danger zone to complete the project. But on the other side, your colleagues, your employees, surely they'll be working. So we call them affected employees as well. So make sure you as a front leader not playing any terrible game with this safety. For some jobs, the issuer may decide not to do a joint satisfaction, but to do this, the work must be extremely low risk. Remember, if you have any doubt that a hazard may exist, always make a joint site inspection. Examples of low risk were maybe carpentry, lubricating, cleaning, brushing, painting. Some examples are there. So, who goes on a joint site inspection? Remember, issuer or receiver. What you need to discuss during the JSI, scope of work and equipment to be used. What would the issuer check to make sure equipment has been properly prepared for maintenance work during the JSI? When they have to check it. Why do receivers go on the JSI or joint site inspection with the issuer to discuss hazards and risks? Of course, the logical point is. Now, why do we need a fire watch? A fire watch must be assigned anytime work is done where the fire could occur. Examples when working on a near-end service like hydrocarbon equipment, doing a hot tap, or working near combustible materials or working near open sewers or sumps. You may also need a fire watch when a release of hazardous liquids or gas permits is issued. So remember, guys, whenever, wherever the fire could possible to occur, you need a fire watch and make sure you have it, and it must be accurate at the hot work permit. Like what is the name of the fire watcher and the ID of that fire watcher. You need to agree and sign at the permit. Now, fire watch, who is he? The fire watch is usually an operator, but he could be from maintenance or a contractor if the operation and maintenance from an agree. Any fire watch must have had fire training and know how to use equipment like fire extinguisher or hoses, and he must know how to report a fire. So he must check the work site to make sure all safety precautions have. So it's a very straightforward responsibilities of fire watcher. Standby man, yes, we need a person, who will stay outside at the entry point, and he must be like reporting to the CSE supervisor. And on the other side, have no other duties. You must make sure that everyone, whoever is going inside, is like filling the CSE log sheet. And the issuer must make sure the standby man knows exactly what he is expected to do. So make sure the standby man is also very much clear about his key responsibilities as a standby man. Now, when should a fire watch be assigned? So whenever a fire could occur, you just need to remember of any hot work when gases are above 0.0 LDL for high risk. But the most appropriate answer is whenever a fire could occur. What would the issuer require when welding on in service hydrocarbon equipment? We need a fire watch, quite straightforward, right? Now, what must the fire watch be? He must be trained. And on the other side, to be very honest, he must be certified as well. That's why they are started asking, where is your third-party certificate and ID as a fire watcher? Now, the fire watch has to know how to operate fire equipment given to him. The right option. Question number 5, what do we call the person who is required to be at the job site because of a special skill he has? We need a standby man. Remember, guys, it's all game of being staying alive. So this employee was killed because the electric circuit he was working was still energized. So maybe no lockout, tagout, and isolation was there. Could the employee have prevented this? Of course, yes. Could the issuer, could the receiver prepare equipment, shut down and isolate, depressure, clean and purge? Purging is important, and we use and why we need it. This is done to remove hazardous material and it's called purging. And purging is a safe way, to be very honest, to remove flammable and hazardous material from the inside equipment. So make it, and it will bring down the LDL also towards 0%, and maybe it will remove oxygen content as well to make sure, because the nitrogen displaces oxygen, and if there is enough oxygen, of course, people could die. Now, clean equipment, cleaning is done to remove all traces of flammable or toxic material that could injure people. This is usually done by steaming out the equipment or using a fire wash. Water wash, sorry. Cleaning at the stage refers to the cleanliness. So for cleaning process, just remember either you are using steaming or water wash. Isolation, why we need isolation? We don't want any accidental startup or any kind of, energy to release or unexpected release of energy while we are working at the project site. So make sure you properly isolate the equipment. And there shouldn't be any chance, even accidentally, to open dangerous materials or release, or especially in the confined space. Now, if you don't isolate equipment correctly, a terrible accident or fire could occur. Remember that one. Therefore, before you issue or receive any work permit, you must make sure that equipment is completely isolated. No, isolation, what should we isolate? Different kind of energies we need to isolate. Maybe or different equipment could be there, like electrical equipment, mechanical, hydraulic, air, gas operated systems, vessels, pipe, confined spaces. We need to isolate before even we start our maintenance or inspection or some other projects like overhaul or shutdown. Now, isolation, how do we isolate? Install blinds, remove piping, close and chain wall, open electrical breakers, remove fuses, disconnect wiring. We can use blind, but these are metal plates that are installed in the pipeline equipment. They prevent liquids or gases from coming into contact with people. So use blind to isolate operating equipment such as tanks, vessels, pumps, compressors, and pipelines. So, but make sure the facility made blinds you can only use once, and then you have to destroy them and waste them. And look at the picture. We can disconnect also. Otherwise, we can use chains to prevent a wall from being opened by accident. For electrical isolation, we need qualified electricians, first of all, to disconnect, wiring, or remove fuses. If breakers cannot be locked in the open position, so open breakers. Now, what is the question? This is important one. When preparing equipment for maintenance work, the issuer must make sure what? Shut down, isolate, and de-energize. Shut down, isolated, and de-energize. They have to make sure. A non-flammable material commonly used to purge process equipment is nitrogen. We use nitrogen, a non-flammable material. So nitrogen is a non-flammable. That means no flammability is comparable. No. Two common methods of cleaning process equipment include water washing and steaming. That's what you studied. Now, equipment is isolated to make sure it cannot be started up, leak, or cause electric shocks. Choose two methods for isolating equipment, remove piping, or you can install blinds. So blinding and disconnection, both are acceptable methods for confined space isolation. Now, removing fuses from an electrical circuit or disconnecting electric wiring is an example of what? Isolating electric equipment. So your concepts technically must be clear. So I hope all these questions of work permit system of Saudi Aramco will be helping you. Now, why do we install blinds in process equipment? To keep liquids or gases from contacting people. Locks, how do we install? And why we install? To prevent accidental startup of equipment. This is called tag. And tag is very much important, especially for communication and for the information of others as well. Whoever is coming nearby, first of all, no authorized person should come, near to any isolated or danger zone. Yes, locks and tag sequence must be, must be in sequence actually to use it. And remember, the operation must install their locks and tags first. So one lock, one key. So your life, this is the only program where you should never trust on anyone. So your life, your responsibility. You have to put your lock and you have to remove your lock. Don't trust on anyone. You can't even say to someone, oh, take my key and just open my lock and remove it. No, don't trust. So make sure, after locks are installed and before work starts, the issuer test each isolating device, such as disconnect switch or wall, to make sure it cannot be operated. If there are multiple locks, we can use, multiple lock clips like this allows several locks and tags to be installed at the same time. Now the important questions related to lock or tag are installing locks and tags on electrical breakers prevent what? Startup of equipment. Why do we install tags as locks? To explain why the lock is installed. Who from the work crew installs locks? One member from each work crew, but make sure they are authorized and trained. Whenever there is a shift change, when operators change shift, the new operations supervisor reviews all isolated equipment. He must also review the locations of locks and tags. Operations locks and tags may be left installed. Okay, between shift changes, the keys to operation locks may also be transferred to the new shift. This only applies to the operation locks and tags at a shift change. Now, the craftsman, old shift remove locks and tags, and new shift install new locks and tags. Just you need to know. So that means they can't exchange their keys or. So alternatively, when craftsmen change shifts, the work must continue. They can leave their locks in place. So transfer keys to new shift. Question is, the issuer must try to start up equipment at the field switch after it has been isolated and before work starts to make sure. So multiple options are there. And remember, it cannot accidentally start. That is the answer to this question. So the issuer must try to start up equipment to make sure it cannot accidentally start. What happens to operations logs and tags installed on equipment when operators change shift? The keys are usually transferred to the new shift. When operators change shift, the keys are usually transferred to the new shift. Now, question 3, related to locks and tags or equipment operation. The reason equipment must be de-energized and depressurized before work is started, because people can be injured. Equipment is de-energized and depressurized before work is started because people can be injured. So the answer is people can be injured. So when a craftsman completes his work permanently, leaves the area, he must remove his locks and tags. Before leaving, the craft supervisor must tell the operations supervisor that the work has been completed, that the craft locks and tags have been removed. So you can study this material. So let me just complete question and answers for you guys. Okay, so these slides you can study by yourself. Otherwise, one picture is more louder than 1,000 words. So see how the pictures are self-explanatory. Okay. So GI 6.012 belongs to this one. Now the question is, who should be the first organization to install locks and tags? Operations will be the first one to install the lock and the last one to remove the lock. Now, what must operations do before removing their locks and tags? Make sure equipment can be safely started. Okay, so different types of permits are there. You can study it by yourself. You know, this, different permit formats are there. I'll share some, maybe one more video. What new changes are there in the new permit forms? Okay, so some of the hard work precautions you can study by yourself. I'm just going to share some of the questions. Okay, I'll just directly go to the questions. So the material you can study by yourself. Now, what is one hazard with doing hot work? Ignition source. One hazard with doing hot work is that ignition source is present. Now, the use of an air compressor in an operating area requires which work permit? Hot work permit, of course, because the use of an air compressor in an operating area requires a hot work permit. Now, covering sewers is required by which permit? Of course, hot work permit. What is the difference between hot and cold work? Hot use an ignition source. Cold work includes sand removal and scaffold blending. Scaffold building, sorry. A release of hazardous liquid or gases permit is required when firefighter's open a line or install blinds. We need equipment opening line break. You know, the new permit is the equipment opening line break. Now choose 3 things you should check before issuing a release permit or equipment opening line break. So wind direction, drainage, ignition sources. Choose 3 things that are needed before allowing entry in a confined space: lighting, standby man, air mover. For gas testing, again, you can study some of the material, but remember, there must be some gas limits, so you have to understand. And common gas tests we can do. Why we need them? Flammable gas to prevent fires or explosion. Toxic gas, so people are not exposed to toxic. But remember oxygen to make sure enough oxygen is available. Failure to take accurate gas tests could kill your people. So, because there are plenty of gases like flammable, toxic, and oxygen. So, oxygen deficiency is another, like below 20 or oxygen above 23.5. So, what is the acceptable range? 20 to 23.5. Now, what are the three types of gas tests we take? Oxygen, flammable gas, toxic materials. What is oxygen? Definitely lower than lower than normal amount of oxygen. So if LEL is 0%, hot work is okay. 5 to 50%, we need SCABA. 50 and above. But now this is like you can say 5 to 10% LEL. You know, we can go with the cold work. Even below 5%, we can say without SCABA, but 5 to 10%, we need SCBA, or 10 to above, of course, you know, no entry at standard level at the new requirements. Now, let me just go directly to the question, because these things you can just scroll down and read. What does the duration box tell the receiver when the work must stop? The information entered in the exact work location box is important because it controls where the receiver can work. Why does the issuer need to know what equipment will be used at a job site? It helps him identify the hazards. Now, what must the issuer do if a joint site inspection is not done? Right? Why not on the work permit? Why is the checklist section important to insurance receiver? Make sure important steps have been taken. Use a fire blanket and a hand dig only are examples of what? Additional precautions. What information must the gas tester enter on the work permit? Gas test results, name and the batch number. What should the issuer do if a gas test are not needed, not applicable? So what must the issuer write on the work permit? Name, organization code, and batch number. What must the receiver write on the work permit? Name, organization code, and batch number. Who can extend a work permit? New issuer or receiver? Who can close a work permit? Issuer and receiver. Now, where could an issuer find out which permit is issued for a specific? So on the back of any work permit, but now it's, they're trying to put everything on front even. So you can study all these things by yourself if needed. Now, the issuer must stop if the job site was found to be unsafe. Yes, now we're going to talk about some emergencies. A pipe fitter cannot work on the same piece of equipment using a welder's workman because each type of work involves different hazards. Quite logical point. Work permit can be issued for up to one operational shift. What happens if work must continue past the time the original permit was to expire? Extend the permit or issue a new one? Who must sign a work permit to extend it? The new issuer and receiver. Who is responsible for safety at the work site after a permit has been extended? The issuer and receiver who signed the extension. Work permits can be issued for up to 30 days if it is highly unlikely that conditions will change. Who must sign a permit issue for up to 30 days? Operations and maintenance division's head. If a work permit is not issued during an emergency, what must be done to do the work? All safety precautions must be taken. Stop work. Let's directly go to the questions. Now, the issuer must stop work if the job site was found to be unsafe. What must the issuer do with the permit after he stops work? Write the reason on the permit. But I would say write the clear reason on the permit why he stopped that work. Now the receiver must stop work if the work site becomes unsafe, but technically you have to prove it also. It's not like just your misunderstanding and you believe, oh, this is unsafe, just come out and stop the work, and there is a horrible loss for the company. So make sure whenever you stop work, you are technically, logically correct. And no doubt, safety, there shouldn't be any compromise. Okay, guys, what must the receiver do if he stops work? Tell the issuer, very simple. What should be good example of when the receiver must stop work? He hears an emergency alarm. What might happen if a safety problem arises and the receiver does not stop work? A fire, injury, or accident could happen. Or we close the permits, or when must the work permit be closed? When the work is finished or the crew leaves? Who must sign the work permit to close it? Issuer and receiver. Who must work permit be closed to communicate the why? Why must work permit be closed? To communicate that the status of the work. How long must the issuer keep close permits on file? 3 months minimum. Now, what does the duration box tell the receiver? When the work must stop. What is the main difference between cold and hot work? Hot work creates an ignition source. What must the receiver do before receiving a work permit? Read the permit and agree all conditions. What would be a good example of when the receiver must stop work? He hears an emergency alarm. The fire watch has to know what? Operate fire equipment given to him. This is just a review. What must happen if a safety problem arises and the receiver does not stop work? A fire, injury, or accident could happen. Use of fire blanket or hand dig only are examples of additional precautions. The receiver is responsible for complying with all safety precautions and signing the permit. What is the work permit capped after it is issued? The posted at the site and the receiver's possession. What do we call the person who is required to be at the job site because of a special skill or standby man we need? What must the receiver write on the work permit? Name, organization code, and badge number. This is who must get counter signatures, the issuer. What is the work permit receiver? Senior craftsman must be there. Who leads the GSI? Issuer. The information entered in the exact work location box is important because it's going to tell where the receiver can work. Why must the issuer tell the receiver about safety hazard that may be at a job site? The receiver may not have worked in the area before. What must the fire watch be? He must be trained, and I would say must be certified as well. So who decides if a questionable area is restricted? Department manager. Who goes on a GSI, issuer and receiver? The work permit system is used to for what? Prevent accidents. Who is responsible for safety at the work site after a permit has been extended? The issuer and receiver. Who signed the extension? When must the work permit be closed? When the work is finished or the crew leaves? What does the restricted area require? Work permit to be issued. Issuer responsibilities include what? Defining safety precautions and signing the work permit. So you have to be carefully understanding. Take the questions, ask your brain, because you study certain material of Saudi Aramco. And then if you don't get the answer from your brain, then read the options, what Aramco have given. And I gave you the right answer as well. We use work permits in hazardous area to identify hazards and precautions. You can test your score and see what is the result. Okay, guys, thank you very much. I hope it will help you for work permit receiver exam, especially in Saudi Aramco. So I'll make another video for third-party exam questions and answers. The most important one, which is going to help you up, inshallah. Thank you very much. Please share with all your friends and colleagues working in Saudi Aramco as a WPR, or the friends and colleagues who are wishing to join Saudi Aramco as a work permit receiver. So this video will be very much helpful to them rather than You will be just trying to guide them, because I'm giving you uh, the information which will surely be helpful. And you all know I'm also Saudi Aramco work permit receiver trainer, because I've been delivered uh, a lot of training sessions for work permit receivers. So make sure just stay tuned and keep watching our trainings on channel, and I'm sure your daily learning club, you'll be learning every day something new from me, inshallah, from our channel. Thank you very much. Take care of yourself. Bye bye.